In one of the biggest crypto heists, hackers stole over $1.4 billion in customer funds. This is about the exchange Bybit. And here we have to look very closely. What is happening here is Ethereum was primarily stolen and hacked here, and it can happen again that exchanges get hacked. But for it to happen on such a large scale, that's very rare. And now there's even a shocking update here. Right now, we're seeing that massive amounts of money are being withdrawn from Bybit, which makes sense. And we are now also looking at whether there is a potential bank run here, because the CEO is currently doing a live stream, an emergency live stream, and there is already talk of a bank run. We're also going to look at what this means for Bitcoin, whether your Bitcoin is at risk right now, what's going on at Bybit, if your other crypto assets are in danger, and what you can do to protect yourself. Additionally, the European Central Bank has reported massive losses related to this news, which we also need to take a look at. The message is brand new. As of now, it's being said that only Ethereum holdings are affected. If anything else should come up, like Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies being affected, I'll update that below. Of course, you can now withdraw your money or something like that here from Bybit, but the hack has already happened. So there's probably not much you can save if you try to pull out any funds now. But it has already been announced that Bybit will step in to cover the stolen funds and that they can cover it, that they are solvent here, that they will not go bankrupt or anything like that. But they seem to have no problem continuing their business operations. Of course, it's now a massive blow to the exchange, to the people who hold cryptocurrencies here on this exchange. But Bybit seems to be solid here. Still, it's important to be cautious here because that could just be a slogan with the CEO saying, hey, don't worry, we got everything under control. Everything's fine, no need to stress. But we've seen centralized platforms publish exactly that kind of thing, saying, yeah, everything is safe, everything's fine, don't worry. And then the platforms afterwards, unfortunately, went away. So the important thing is always not to make any rash decisions here. You don't need to panic and start doing things all crazy. But I always say, not your keys, not your coins. Withdraw your Bitcoin, withdraw your cryptocurrencies from the exchange. I'll put a link to a TREZOR hardware wallet below. This is really an absolute recommendation because this is really the worst case scenario that is happening here. If you have a hardware wallet like a TREZOR, then this can't happen to you. Then it cannot be the case that the stock exchange simply goes bankrupt and your money is gone. Generations of wealth could just vanish, just because it's sitting on an exchange. And if I understand this correctly, there's currently an emergency live stream happening from Bybit. And here the Bybit founder says that there are currently massive withdrawals happening, meaning people are pulling out their money in droves. Also, here's the tip I can give you. Withdraw your funds, or better yet, don't leave anything on the exchange. But don't do it in a panic, because then you'll just end up making mistakes or something like that. But we see that this is leading to a massive loss of trust. And it's not just Bitcoin being withdrawn here, but all kinds of cryptocurrencies. And it's likely going to have a ripple effect, affecting other exchanges as well. We might also see Bitcoin and crypto holdings being withdrawn from other exchanges now. And now we're also going to take a look at the details of how this can happen, because a lot of people are wondering, how can this happen? They have security measures here, and they are professionals who are skilled at their craft. But we see that even exchanges like this can get hacked. And you also have to understand that on the other side, the scammers are getting smarter. We'll see how that happens in just a moment. So the hackers have definitely been very, very clever in their approach. And here you really have to be careful. But again, if you have your Bitcoin on a hardware wallet, no problem at all. You really don't have to worry about that. And like I said, I'll put a link down below to a hardware wallet. Here in the code for Bitcoin Hotel, there's still a 10% discount on the purchase of a hardware wallet. But this isn't really meant to be an advertisement. This is really about your safety. You need to understand this. This is about the safety of your assets, Bitcoin from your cryptocurrencies. You can leave it on the exchange, but just make sure that a hack like this can happen at any time. So it definitely says here that in one of the biggest crypto heists of all time, it's pretty wild that the amount is really significant. Hackers reportedly stole over $1.4 billion US dollars in Ethereum from Bybit's cold wallet. Initial estimates suggest that the exchange lost over $1 billion in Ethereum, as well as significant amounts of other tokens, even though the investigation is still ongoing. Ethereum did sell off initially. Right now, we're not seeing any panic in the Bitcoin market. Who knows, maybe that could still happen. Maybe there will be more revelations coming out here. We really need to pay close attention to what happens here in the next few hours. It could also be that other wallets or something like that could be compromised. But as of now, from the video, here we can see that this mainly affects the Ethereum holdings. There's also an official statement from the Bybit CEO, who says about an hour ago, a transfer was made to our hot wallet here. It seems that these specific transactions were being masked. All the signers saw a manipulated user interface that showed the correct addresses and a real safe URL. But the actual signing message changed the smart contract logic of our Ethereum cold wallet, explained Bybit co-founder and CEO. We can see here that it was done very cleverly from the hackers. So it looked like it was just a regular transaction, but it was a fake transaction. And this is where the hackers slipped into this transaction, and thus were able to change the recipient address. And then the crypto assets didn't go where Bybit wanted them to, But as I understand it, the hackers were able to redirect the crypto assets to their own addresses, and some of them have already been sold, or are in the process of selling it. So you can also track that at Arkham Intelligence. There you can see the exact blockchain data, how it happens, and how the whole thing is forwarded here. It also says in a report, the hacker deceived the signatories of Bybit's Ethereum cold wallet, which is what I just meant, by getting them to approve a malicious transaction, thereby secretly gaining control of the wallet. And that's why it's important. We need to touch on this for you, especially if you have Bitcoin on a cold wallet, because you see here a cold wallet was involved, meaning they had hardware wallets. So we have to be clear it was a human error. That means a fake transaction was signed here. And that's why I always tell you, double check exactly which transactions you're signing. If okay, hey, you're sending a transaction to someone or something like that, then there are relatively few problems here. Problems usually arise here when you're dealing with some complicated DeFi stuff, and then you have all these smart contract issues. Then you just hit send or something like that. And it can't always be the case that a malware transaction or something like that sneaks in. And it's happened before that you just end up confirming this transaction without thinking about it. You don't even realize that you've just given a hacker access to your hardware wallet. And often it can happen that the hacker actually pulls off the hack 3 or 4 years later. And then it comes out, okay, 3 or 4 years ago, I signed some malware transaction or something like that. Like I said, if you're just sending Bitcoin to Bitcoin, that almost never happens. That usually happens when you're dealing with some shitcoin DeFi protocols. Whatever, MetaMask or whatever else is out there, when you use those kinds of things. But you can prevent this by simply checking carefully which address is the message coming from, where is it going, and to which address. And then don't check the transaction on your computer. Check the transaction on your display. Take a really close look to see if the transaction on your hardware wallet, like on your hardware wallet display, matches the same transaction address, the same Bitcoin address as the one you want to send to or receive from. That means always check everything here on the hardware wallet. That's the most important thing. This is really the most essential thing about the hardware wallet. The big advantage over any software wallets is that you can double check everything on the display and be absolutely sure that the hardware wallet hasn't been hacked, because it's simply not directly connected to the internet. If you have a hot wallet, meaning an internet wallet or a wallet that's connected to the internet, it can always happen that the display shows incorrect information or something like that. But that's the genius of a hardware wallet, why you can feel so secure with it, because you have the display right there and you can double check on the display to see if you're being compromised. And it could be that they weren't paying attention somewhere along the way with a transaction like that. Maybe they didn't check it properly on the display, like on the hardware wallet display. And then it could be that something like this happens. But that's just my current assessment. Could also be that something else happened here. You never really know. Could also be that more information comes up throughout the day. Now there's actually a brand new statement just at the moment I'm putting this together. Here the Bybit founder says that even in case of a bank run, there would be no problems. So he's actually almost expecting a bank run. I don't know if this is the confirmation that he's expecting it now. It's also important to mention that Bybit is solvent, even if this hack loss isn't recovered. All of the client's assets are backed one-to-one. We can cover the loss. So there won't be any bankruptcy now, or something like that. And here, you really shouldn't have to worry. So your Ethereum isn't gone if you had Ethereum on Bybit or something like that. At least that's how I understand it right now. That wouldn't make any sense. Well, they would be in such a bad way if the 1 billion or more than 1 billion in Ethereum were really gone. If they can't recover it and don't cover the damages, then probably no one would use Bybit anymore. They would take a massive hit. No one would use a platform like that anymore. And that's the good thing, that it's at least covered here. And that is also the reason why many people, for example, go to larger stock exchanges. Because, for example, if a hack happens at a larger exchange, you can at least say, okay, maybe there's a chance that the exchange, since it has a lot of profits, can cover the losses. We've seen this happen in the past a few times, where an exchange would somehow get hacked. But then it could cover it, so it could handle it. The problem is, if the exchange can't cover it, if the hack is too big. Just imagine this. Assets are getting hacked here. Or not just Ethereum, but also other cryptocurrencies that could get hacked here. And then it looks really, really critical here. What's also really funny in this context is that the central bank reported it to the ECB. So it wasn't hacked, but it did incur some losses last year. That actually fits in pretty well with this. Here it says, in 2024, we incurred a loss of 7.9 billion due to the interest rate hikes from the previous years. And unlike in 2023, there was no coverage through risk provisions. Our finances are the result of fulfilling our duties as a central bank. Our job is to keep prices stable, not to make profits. And that's crazy. They can't even manage to keep prices stable here. They say, hey, it's no problem if we take losses because it's not about us making profits, but about keeping prices stable. But we see that they cannot do both. They're neither able to be economically viable here, nor can they keep prices stable. So we can conclude it's a huge clown show that's happening right now. And I even found something funnier. Here, we have Nick Beisha. Now, there was this article here. The ECB wants to set up blockchain-based payment systems. So they want to implement blockchain here too when it comes to the digital euro and stuff like that. And that's just so funny because we have the complete opposite here. Nick Beisha describes it so easily. He says here, in the US, there are Bitcoin innovations, a strategic national reserve that's being planned. Many states that have now submitted a legislative proposal for a strategic Bitcoin reserve shouldn't be included in any ETF. Then it's the Bitcoiners cabinet, freedom lovers, preparing generational wallets. And in Europe, they're just doing some blockchain nonsense, like putting bananas on the blockchain or something. Here you can see the difference between Europe and the USA. There's always that saying, the US innovates, Europe regulates. And you can see that listed here again. Definitely, just to wrap things up here, get yourself a hardware wallet, pull your Bitcoin off from the exchange. I'm putting a link down below to a TREZOR hardware wallet. It's really super easy, simple, and secure. If you want to buy more Bitcoin, check out 21 Bitcoin. I'll put a link down below for you too. You can also get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin with the code. Let me know if you've stored your Bitcoin safely. Or is this maybe the last signal you needed to really pull your Bitcoin off the exchange? See you later. Peace out.